Welcome to Hardcore Garage. Today, we're going to talk about bees. So one thing I've always wanted to do was to, I guess, raise my own honey. We live in the country. There's lots of bees all around, and I like honey. And it's good to, make more bees, right? We have a bee shortage because of pesticides and stuff like that. So something that you can easily do. And hopefully we're kind of successful at it, and we have some honey in a year or so. Stay tuned. Now, I wish I would have started filming a little bit earlier. Phillip is a heck of a person. He is super smart and really eloquent, I guess would be the words, and he knows what to say and how to make it make sense to you when you're listening. And I think he's going to, really teach me everything that I need to know. The structure of the beehives is extremely important. Again, I haven't even seen one of those yet. We're just dealing with the trap, but the idea is that you make the trap the perfect, say, condominium in the woods that's got a free rent, no HOA sign on there, and you try to capture rogue, or he called them feral bees that have decided that the hive that they're in is no longer acceptable, and they're out looking for a new hive, which was also a very cool thing to get to hear, was that the bees themselves, not the queen, the bees, and I can't remember what he called them, if they were drones or whatever, but their specific job is to go out and find a new home. Them are the ones that get to choose where the hive is going to move. You'd think that the boss would do it, but it's just, regular bees. So very interesting. The design of the traps and the design of the beehives, I guess, is extremely important inside too. The gaps between the screens and stuff like that need to be between 1/4 and 1/2 inch. Somehow or another, the bees know that space is the perfect space for a walkway, so they won't try to bridge that gap. If it's over 1/2 inch, they fill it in with some stuff, and if it's under 1/4 inch, they fill it in with some stuff that's either glue, or they use it as part of their hive, or I don't even remember what exactly that he called it. The brood, that's what it was. That's where the new bees are born, and they're basically put in the same kind of thing that the honey goes into. The comb, that design, one side's going to be for food, and the other side is for breeding. So kind of a cool thing. I'm going to take you guys along for the ride. Hope you enjoy it. Some of these videos might get a little extensive, but we will try to dumb them down for the common man like us as much as we can, so you guys can be as successful at beekeeping as I hope to be. And I'm sure we're going to get stung along the way, so there'll be some entertainment. Stay tuned.
Pictures and videos for posterity.
Oh yeah, this is our trap here we got going on. Just want to mount it up in that tree right there. See if we can't catch us some bees and make some honey.
Yep, we're about to bait the hive with some lemongrass oil. This smells like the scent that scout bees will leave onto a potential hive.
This is the all-natural method. A lot of times people will buy a queen, right, when they're doing this.
Here we're trying to capture a swarm from some hive out there in the woods. Catch some feral bees.
So you're lucky. Just a little bit of that stuff's all you're going to use?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Just enough to get a drop or two around the entrance here. Just kind of want to give them something to smell. And then we're going to take that and we're going to put this into a plastic bag that I have someplace. Not sure where I set it.
Just some doTERRA essence oils. Probably
one of my wife's friends sells that stuff. So
I've got some for my headaches, and it's got a mix of different stuff.
Yep, that stuff's got a real strong lemony scent. I mean, I got it all over.
I think that my stuff that I use has this in it, because that smell when I put it around my temples.
So what I do is I take that and I just put it inside of a Ziploc baggie. Get a little stick or something. Put that in the bag, close most of it up. And that little bit of a gap there still is pretty strong. You want to smell that? You can see it's still pretty potent. So that won't, the stuff evaporates over time. And
that keeps it from evaporating, that's why it's in the bag?
Yep, trapping in the bag. And you just kind of jam it in there. And the stick being a little bit longer lets us
now, are you going in between the frames, or are you going under them right now?
The frame goes all the way down below. I mean, it almost goes to the bottom of this.
All right.
On the actual hive, it doesn't, but on this trap, it does. So now that should be, I'll break off that little knot. It should be pretty far back into the hive.
And they'll go in to investigate that smell?
Yeah. I mean, they'll smell this. Really just want to give them some excuse to find it. I mean, the shape of this thing and the size of it is preferred by bees. They're looking for something around that, 30 to 50 liters of internal volume. This is 37, I think, is what I designed it at. So if they find this thing, what happens is the scout bees, first they look for a small entrance that's about 2 square inches or so, which this is exactly 2 square inches, or close enough. So that's like the first thing they love. They'll go inside, they'll walk around the inside, all the way around the internal perimeter. They'll then fly across the open cavity, and somehow they use that to get a feeling judgment for what the volume is. People have done studies on this, and the bees always will pick the hives that are around that.
The perfect measurement. Huh?
That right size.
Not too big, not too small.
Not too big, not too small. They don't care about the shape of the colony, but they care about the volume. They're looking for that, 30, 40, 50 liters or so.
In the natural world, not a trap, would they be looking for a place to put their hive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They're looking for somewhere out there. We're hoping that there's a strong colony that is out of space, and they're looking for somewhere to expand. They don't want to just go anywhere. They want to go someplace that's easily defended because it's got a small opening. It's got a nice interior cavity space, so they can, they have someplace to grow. They're looking for someplace that's easily visible, like on the edge of a giant tree in the middle of a clearing, and is about that 10, 15 feet off the ground. So, we're ticking all the boxes that a bee would look for the ideal place.
Okay.
So what we've done here is we're just trying to drop off a mansion on this tree, and
put a free rent sign on the door.
A free rent, no landlord, no
no HOA,
no HOA. Just move in and enjoy your life. When I did this last year,
open just real quick. Look in here just so we can see it on the camera here.
Probably. If I take this back one, it'll bump our.
Oh, it won't bump the stick. Yeah, it's in there. I forgot. Yep.
So that's
our frames.
That's
the
our
wires.
Frame. Yep. Wires just to kind of sturdy up the comb they build on there. There's a starter ridge. The bees they hang from the ceiling. So if you put a ridge like this, that's where they'll start to hang off of this in that line, and so they will build comb
perfectly straight
right down the center of that, which blows my mind that works, but it does. It's very exciting when you get to pull the frame out the first time and see the bees at work inside your trap. That it has worked as exactly as you hoped it would.
That's awesome.
Hopefully it will not be very long. What is today? Is today the 28th?
Nope, not yet. Next Friday's the 27th.
Yeah, I'm losing all track of time with this work from home thing.
Or 26th this Friday. It's my daughter's birthday.
There we go.
And Dad's, actually.
Early, mid-April is when we're expecting to really see a lot. That's when they kind of will take off.
If you just come up here, would I be able to see any kind of activity?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we would be looking for, or what you'd be looking for, is the first thing we want the bees to have found it. So you'll see 1 or 2 bees kind of just flying around the hive, and if they're kind of checking out the entrance, if they fly outside and kind of flying around the trap and looking at it, and then going back in and then flying back out and looking at it, those are the scout bees.
Okay.
That's the first thing we want to see. If they find it, it could be as early as the first or second week of April. After that, what we want to see is it's not really like much more activity. It's not like there's going to be a lot more bees, but we want to see the bees' behavior change. They won't be checking out the hive. They will be flying straight in and then flying straight out. Once we start seeing that, then there's definitely somebody has moved in and they are actively out and about collecting nectar or pollen or tree sap or whatever they need for their colony that they're building up. Once we see that, you don't really want to take it immediately. You don't want to take the trap immediately down. You do want to give them like a couple weeks to build up a little bit so they have some calm, it's a little sturdy, they feel safe in there. Once that time has passed, then we'll take the trap down and we'll relocate those frames in there to a permanent structure, a permanent hive, and hopefully, if you don't mind putting it out here, we'll just set the hive right out here.
You were saying something when they swarm. I don't need it, not the word you use, but create a new queen.
Yeah.
So does a regular bee become a queen, or how does that?
So so every colony is meant to have one queen at a time, and she's the mother of all the worker bees and the drones and all that. When a colony fills out the cavity that they're in and they don't think they're gonna, they can't keep expanding, then the worker bees will start to raise new queens. And they'll make a special cell called a queen cup or a queen cell. It's a lot larger. And they feed it they feed it I actually cannot remember the term, but they feed it some different kind of chemical in there that turns a worker bee into a worker larva into a queen larva.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the workers decide this, which is weird. I mean, it's like collective.
And is the queen always a female?
Yeah, sure. And the drones are, they serve no purpose other than just to mate with the queens. They don't go out and collect nectar. They don't clean up the hive. They literally do nothing else. They're pretty useless.
Donors.
Just donors. But yeah, so that once the new queens are born, they will actually, a new queen will go out and find the other new queens, and she'll kill all of them.
Whichever one's the strongest.
To assert her dominance.
Okay.
And then she will take a very large portion of the population from that colony. Either she'll leave or the old queen will leave. One of them is going to leave, and the colony will split.
Okay.
Some bees stay in the old place, and the other bees will swarm away to wherever they have found some other place to go, and hopefully that'll be our swarm trap here.
So and then the other bees come before the queen will come.
Once they know that there's a new queen that's about ready to swarm, the scouts will start. They're just going to start looking around for someplace. Yeah, I don't really understand how they figure this out, but they start kicking off scouts. Once enough scouts have figured out that this is the place, because they're probably.
But they decide where they're going to live, not the queen.
They decide like, okay, this is it.
Okay.
And somehow they go collectively do this. Somehow they coordinate each other, and all of them within a matter of like 5 minutes. I mean, that's why they call this a swarm. They will swarm, and it's actually I did not get to see it happen for my third hive, but I saw the very end of it, and the trap was just absolutely covered.
Wow.
There was like a basketball-sized blob of bees on the side of the trap, and then a few minutes later, it was gone. They had all moved inside the hive, and then it looked
very
like
orderly.
Just 5 or 10 bees coming in and out. You never would have realized that. Suddenly, an enormous number of bees had relocated to the trap and had moved into it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a bee swarm in real life.
You might get a chance.
Period. You know what I mean?
You might get a chance.
Right. Cool.
It happens quick though. So, if you start seeing scouts.
Well, one thing's cool is I'll be able to see that right out my bedroom window.
Oh, yeah.
I got binoculars way in the back closet window. I don't know if I can see through them trees, but.
If you're like me, once you start seeing activity, you won't be able to stay away from it.
Right.
You don't want to come out here and take a look at it every day.
Cool.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this last year, and I'm hoping to capture a bunch more swarms this year.
Awesome.
Very cool.
So we need to strap this one up before we put it up there?
Definitely much easier to do that. Time of when we're taking this down, what I like to do is take off the second strap. Yeah, it's going to be up in a tree with bees all over it. We're going to take this strap off, and while I'm standing up there, I'll use a square knot on the end of this one. So I'll get a long, basically I got like a long rope there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I can lower it down
from
there, just straight to the ground. And then I don't have to carry a big old box of bees
hugging it
down the ladder. Because it's not super heavy, but it is awkward. Some people actually use a lot smaller trap sizes than this.
So what's your average amount of times getting stung when you're doing this?
I have actually only been, for beekeeping, I've only been stung twice.
Through the bee suit or without?
And I've only been stung on the hands. So, you know, I got like a set of like bee gauntlets almost. But when you're getting into the hive and you're trying to when you're actually trying to manipulate things, you really need some dexterity. The hives or the frames are like, you know, they're stuck in there pretty good. The bees use a propolis to like glue any gaps closed, and the stuff is like super glue. It's hard to manipulate with the gloves on, so I end up taking my gloves off. I mean,
pulling them.
You'll see. We'll have a follow-up video digging into a beehive.
Sweet.
There's bees everywhere, and most of the bees don't care. But the bees that are of like a certain age, too old to be taking care of the larva, but not old enough yet to be out hunting for nectar and stuff, their only purpose is to guard the hive. And those bees are mean and they're intimidating. They just watch you. You go pop open a frame, you pull a frame up, and as soon as it pops up, you see like 20 bee eyes. You know,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? And they're not happy with you. Those are the ones you got to watch out for, and those are the ones you're actually really trying to confuse their scent with some puffs of smoke.
Okay.
It does stress them out actually, but smoke. The bees communicate with pheromones and things, and they see you messing with their hive. They start releasing these attack pheromones, like, hey, there's a bear out here. There's a human messing with the hive.
This dude needs dealt with.
So a little bit of smoke confuses their senses.
Right. And what I've seen the smokers. What makes the smoke? Is it?
You can use all kinds of stuff. I like using sawdust.
So it is actually burning.
Yeah, you're smoldering something.
All right. I didn't know if it was like
pine needles. You know, any of this brush around here would be fine.
So has anyone ever tried to use like the fake like train smoke? You know what I mean? Does that not produce?
I never see anybody.
You know what I'm talking about though? The liquid that you would put in a model train that would cause it to smoke.
I don't know if it would actually work. Isn't that stuff like it's like water vapor?
I have no idea.
I don't. People always seem to burn like cardboard or pine needles.
Yeah, I always wondered if it was real smoke or a simulated. Yeah, I guess that ain't even the right word I'm looking for, but
I think it is the smell of actual burning like wood. I think
confuse them. All right,
is what does it.
Cool.
Just the cloud doesn't seem to do anything. They don't care, as far as I can tell.
It's not about them being blind; it's the smell.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Making them think that there's some other danger. They'll stop looking at you and they'll go back to gorging on honey because they think perhaps the colony is about to be destroyed. They need to get as much as they can collected so they can get out of there. You also want it to block their pheromones they're using to communicate with each other. People say it calms them down, but I think the truth is it doesn't actually calm them down. It moves their stress away from you and moves their stress to something else.
Gotcha.
So you really shouldn't smoke them. Shouldn't just like blast smoke at them. You should use just enough to keep them from being angry at you. Make their anger go somewhere else. That said, I've still had to smoke some hives. I had the hives 3 that I was working with just a couple weeks ago. They were very not happy with me being there, and I was trying to get the hive ready for spring. They were a little upset.
Have you noticed any Africanized bees, or?
I haven't.
I mean, would you be able to tell by looking at them?
I've seen videos.
Yeah.
My understanding is they look very similar to Italian honeybees. which, what you see out and about. What the very different thing about them is they're just incredibly aggressive. Of course.
Yeah. More like a hornet.
Even worse than that.
Yeah.
Really. Hornets are, they can be aggressive. They can sting you a couple times. But the Africanized bees, check out some videos on YouTube sometime. You can't even approach the hive. You can't even approach it, and you're getting like bombarded.
I've seen some videos where the dudes jump in the water and the bees wait for them to come out of the water.
Yeah, that's why they're... And the thing is that the Africanized bees, they actually are some of the best producers. Like, that aggressive trait is actually correlated with the ability to build out a hive.
Okay.
They're super productive, but they are incredibly aggressive. So if we ever catch them, if we get some Africanized honeybees, we're gonna just let them go. We'll destroy that hive.
All right.
My bees, the bees I have, are pretty gentle, I'd say. I was actually very surprised how gentle they were when I first interacted with them in the swarm trap last year. I thought they'd be kind of like flying all over you, and they'd be just kind of generally grumpy. But for the most part, bees don't really care about you. I would say like 99% of the bees don't even acknowledge your presence. You pick a frame up, it's got 100, 500 bees on it. You can pick it up, move it around. You can set it down against something, and they just keep doing what they were doing before. They don't really care. The guard bees, they are a little upset sometimes. A little bit of smoke seems to calm them down. But for the most part, bees are pretty gentle.
It'll be cool to see all that different attitudes, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I like it. All right. Well, shall we put the
strapper?
They may not find it. If they don't find it, we're going to rebait it. Keep baiting it. Once we know for sure they've found it, then we're going to watch to see them change from scouting to showing behavior where they actually have moved in. So
Like you said, in and out, no.
The scouts will be kind of like just looking all around. They'll crawl all over the outside. They'll go in, they'll come out, they'll fly around, kind of look around the whole hive, look around the area. They might even fly up and do like a big circle, and they'll go right back. They won't actually be going anywhere. They'll just be checking out the whole area.
They're GPS locating.
Yeah. They're considering their options. But once we see them change from that type of behavior to where there's bees clearly coming in and going straight back out and like in a straight line, usually they like follow like a straight path to wherever they're trying to go. Once you see that, those aren't scouts anymore. Those are workers out collecting nectar or something. Once we see that, then we'll wait a couple weeks and then trap down. At that point, there's definitely a colony in there. Then we'll take the trap down and we'll move it to a permanent hive.
Cool.
We might catch the in-between point, which is once enough scouts have decided this is the place, they'll go back to wherever their colony is at that's looking for somewhere to go. They'll all decide this is it, this is the one, and within like, if you catch that window, it'll be sweet. It'll be like 30 minutes from scouts to a huge swarm is here, and then they'll be just starting to collect pollen and stuff.
Since you can't really see what's in the box without opening the box, have you ever moved one too early, or?
I was really not sure.
You won't move one when the swarm is on its way?
It's a little subtle. It's a little subtle, the difference between scouts and seeing workers come in and out. I was looking for like a very large change in like bee activity. That's what I thought was going to happen, but it's not like that.
Okay.
It looks like just a couple bees are hanging around. But a couple bees on the entrance doesn't mean there's a couple bees inside. A couple bees coming in and out means there could be like 20,000 bees in there.
Okay.
What actually made me realize last time that there definitely was a colony in there was I saw drones coming in and out. And there's no reason for drones to be anywhere except for around a queen. Drones don't do anything besides mate with queens.
Okay.
So they had to have gone into that hive for some reason.
You know it by that point. Huh?
Yeah, at that point I was like, okay, there definitely must be a colony there. drones aren't out scouting for new locations.
It's about 10 foot up in that tree.
Yep.
Facing south, so it warms up in the sun. We'll see what happens.
Size, fairly level. Been baited with lemongrass. We've done what we can.
It's the condo just waiting to be lived in. We'll see what happens.
Next to a swimming pool.
Well, that'll be the first installment on our beekeeping video. I know it's a bit long, but we got a lot of information we got to try to cram in there when we're doing this. I'm now up in the window of my bedroom, and I got a pretty clear view of the hive trap. Got some binoculars here, but I'll tell you, that hasn't kept me from walking out there 3-4 times a day already, just to check. Probably won't have any activity till mid-April, but it's still exciting, so stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Keep on trucking.